So when I hit you in the face and that black eye, why didn't you cover that up for the thumbnail? I don't understand. We're going to have people tonight when we go live. They're going to be asking, Wally, are you beating up Nanette?
No.
Let's go. Oh, we're live. We're already live.
Else? It was picture day for me at work too, so that was great.
Did you use the picture from our thumbnail?
Uh-huh.
Excellent. Excellent.
Of course.
Everyone, we're live. This is Wally
And Nanette
with Supreme Gecko. This is our typical Thursday night live, 6:30 p.m. Central Time. We've missed a few. Nanette. Did anybody see the thumbnail that went out there? Nanette
obviously,
saw it,
if they're here.
And well, maybe not. Maybe they came because they just like to come here on Thursday nights to see if
You think that's it?
I think that. IVG, thanks for jumping in. Angie, Frank the Tank,
Illinois is here. Ghouls
Marine
is
Corp, Reptiles. Go ahead, Nanette. Who else? Who did I miss?
Ghouls and Gecko.
Hey, Jason.
Illinois Valley is here. Shane's here. Joseph's here. I'm surprised.
Shane Agger?
Surprised they came back.
Yeah.
When we've been out for 3 weeks.
Joseph, thanks for joining us. Yeah. You know what? No, Shane Bowman. I just saw that. You guys are the best. You guys are the best. And if you, this was
totally unexpected.
Totally unexpected. I got some get well cards. And thank you very, very much. Thank you for all the warm wishes and thoughts and prayers. It was pretty bad for all, and I'm not complaining because I know that a lot of people are going through this, and a lot of people are way worse than I was. And I hate to even talk about it, but I was in total isolation. I wasn't around anybody. Nanette would literally. That's like apocalypsing. Thanks for adjusting me.
You got fuzz on you.
So I was in isolation for, a week and a half.
7 days. You were isolated from us for 7 days.
Yeah. Hi, Cassandra.
Then we let you come down with a mask after the 7-day mark because you had no fevers.
Yeah.
But I moved out of our room for 2 full weeks because I was scared.
I missed you, but I tell you what, folks, I slept the best I have in like years. How long?
So did I.
So who snores louder?
You.
No, I don't. I was bad from the standpoint of I couldn't eat anything. I didn't have any appetite for. I don't think I ate anything for 2 or 3 days.
You didn't eat for about 4 days, and you barely drank the first couple days.
Yeah, so that's not good. But I tell you what, I was awake in the first 72 hours. I bet you I was awake 3 hours. I slept the whole time, and it's not fun. I coughed a little bit, but the biggest thing was that I was just super tired. So at this point, now it's been how many weeks?
You had waffles for breakfast, Frank.
That sounds good. Yeah, maybe I should have had the medicated waffles. That would have helped my. Maybe they could put the COVID vaccine in waffles, and that would.
But you already had that, so it didn't help you.
Yeah, exactly. The worst thing was being tired, and I'm still tired. I'll go downstairs and I'll work, a couple 3 hours, and I am just exhausted. But that's the way it is, and I'll get over this. What else about the COVID? Anything else? We were isolated. You did a show.
I did a show without you.
You ran out and did a full show with Jordan's help and Crystal's help. They did fantastic.
Crystal wasn't there.
And I stayed here she helped catch the animals and stuff like that. I stayed here and watched, the Jets and Flintstones. I don't know what I did. I probably
slept.
Yeah, I think I did go. I think that was the first day. Got sick Wednesday. I think Sunday was the first day I went downstairs and actually looked at animals for the first time in like a half hour.
Yes, it was, because I said to you specifically, do not go to the facility when we are not home because you were so weak and tired. And the first thing you said to me is, guess what hatched?
I knew you would know. I knew that.
You don't listen.
Hey, everyone. Did you see, we just put out a video yesterday feeding 50 micro gecko enclosures. I have 2 micro gecko racks, and we have 5 rows of 4 on one and 6 rows of 5 on another one. And I went through every single one. And I thought this is going to be the most boring thing in the world. And I found that, it normally takes me about 50 minutes to feed both racks because I'm looking at the animals, I'm cleaning, and I'm doing all kinds of things. And I said, I hope I can get this video way under 50 minutes. Thank you very much, Joseph, for saving it to your playlist. I greatly appreciate that. Anytime you can do the like and subscribe and leave comments, I love to see comments. But as it turns out, it took me like an hour and a half because I was just looking for different things and started talking about things. So hopefully you folks that have had a chance to watch it got some tips and techniques on how we care for some of our babies. And we already had a couple of comments like, I didn't realize that you could keep different species together while they were growing out. And we do that to a point. If they're the same habitat, the same temperature requirements, humidity requirements, things like that, we'll keep them together for a certain point, then we'll start separating those out. But it makes it so much easier keeping one enclosure with 2 or 3, like the scorpion tails and the helmetids, and I had a fasciatus in there and a viper gecko in one of the enclosures. And they were all the same size, and it just worked out really, really, really well. And at this point, this weekend, I'll start separating some of those out. I have some cave geckos that are growing up. They're starting to get too big, and they'll be separated out. And I have lots of cleaning this weekend on that micro gecko stand. Nanette, we're kind of doing some updates here. Palm Street. We haven't done a Palm Street in a long time.
We were going to do one before you got
sick.
We
were going to. Hey, DEA. Thanks for joining us, Andrew.
So what about it?
What about it? When are we doing our next? I'm going to turn the volume down.
What kind of crested? What do you have? Phantom crested geckos on the rack behind you. Phantom crested geckos you have.
They're invisible.
Hey, Andrew.
They're invisible. We actually have, if I could go through this, we have Robusta velvet geckos. We have morning geckos. We have 3 enclosures of striped geckos, white line geckos, and then up here we have giant day geckos.
Are you drinking iced tea?
I am drinking iced tea. So when are we doing our next Palm Street?
Sunday night.
Sunday night is that Sunday. September 28th.
Wow.
So that's
at what time?
We'll probably do it at about 7 o'clock, 7 or 7:30. So watch for I'll put some advertisements out there. We'll promote it. Watch for it. If you haven't gone over to Palm Street and subscribe to Supreme Gecko, do that. We'll have some deals. We always have deals. We'll have some rare geckos. We'll have some hard goods. It'll be fun. We'll just have a good time. How's the ball python doing? Yeah. How is the ball python? So when I was sick, and the whole purpose of this show is to talk about what happens when you get sick. But when I was sick, Nanette, did you take care of the ball python?
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
I got shipped right out.
Woo! I want to be in Hawaii.
They just saw a wild giant day gecko in the wild.
Angie, tell them to bring me back some Hawaiian blue day geckos.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think I need a male, but I'll take whatever you get me. So Palm Street, don't forget NARBC is coming up October. NARBC in Tinley Park is coming up October 11th and 12th. I'll have a list of animals that we have available. We usually don't bring, bunches and bunches of animals. We haven't had a table. We haven't had a table or two. I think last time that we went, we had 3 tables, but we haven't done that for a while. It's a long show for us, and we have so much other stuff going on. Oh, Will and Will and Audra from Flawless Crested Geckos are going Palm Street tomorrow with some snakes. That sounds cool.
Snakes?
Yeah, they're doing snakes.
I didn't know they were doing snakes.
Oh, that is, if you look, that is a 3D printed or a toy crested gecko.
Oh,
yes.
That was a gift.
Okay, where was I going? So we will be bringing some animals down to NARBC Tinley. I'll have a list in the next probably day or so. I won't post prices. If you have any questions, you can message me, but we'll have we will have the availability of bringing some animals down, and as well, if you're in the Palm Street, we can hold the animals until Palm Street and bring them down
until NARBC.
Until NARBC Tinley.
And then we'll bring them. Now, we're not going to hold them until Palm Street.
We'll have, if you buy animals at the Palm Street auction, we'll have them and hold them until Tinley, and we'll bring them down for you if you're in the area, if you're going to Tinley. But we are only going Saturday.
Yes.
Saturday. Our next reptile show is the Scaled Up Lacrosse show coming up October 18th. Sunday. Is it Saturday or Sunday?
It's a Saturday show.
That's a Saturday show. And I wanted to mention as well, this Saturday is the Epic. If everybody remembers back in, I think, March or April, there was a special event where there was a ton of interviews. Oh my gosh, so many wonderful, wonderful interviews.
That's
if you
Saturday?
haven't watched that, make sure that you do. But this Saturday is Epic again. I was supposed to be interviewed and I had to bail. I actually talked to Craig Hansen, who is kind of in charge of this whole thing, organizing it at least. Thank you very much, Frank. Epic.live. And you don't have to register this time. You can just go into the site and watch. I think it's a couple of hours, but there's many, many different sessions that you can go to. Marketing, specific on reptile breeding, just so much. Thank you very much, Frank, for posting that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to put that in the description of this live as well. But that's coming up Saturday. I was supposed to be interviewed for a session, and that fell through. I talked to Craig Saturday and said that I was dying and I couldn't be in the session, and he understood. So I really feel bad missing out on that. It was a huge bummer. It's such a great program. Buy me a coffee. This is real quick. I'll mention that we have the Buy Me a Coffee program running. It's a membership program. If you are not involved, here's a couple of benefits that you're not realizing, and you should be involved in our Buy Me a Coffee membership, even if it's at the lowest level. We just produced a video on Australian leaftails with Phil Trumper, Australian leaftails, and we got down into the weeds with this and had so much information. We didn't have so much information. Phil had so much information. It was incredible. It goes about an hour and 40 minutes or so, and it is packed with tips and techniques that I used after the session for some of my geckos and changing some things around. That was our third in a series of expert breeder interviews. We had one with Paul Morlock of Rack House on gargoyle geckos, and we had one with Monique with cat geckos, Evolver reptiles, and just amazing information. Cat geckos, that information isn't anywhere out there. And I have another one that I have queued up for this weekend to work on this weekend on mealworms with Midwest Mealworms, Justin Myers, and that was a great interview, and I just need to do a lot of editing and throwing in. And if you know these videos, you know that there's a lot of work that goes into them because there's a lot of B-roll or behind the scenes videos and pictures. It's just not head shots of two people talking. There's a lot of information. Nobody wants to see my mug on a show for an hour and a half unless you're watching this live. Please stay. But so we'll have that one coming up probably in the next couple of weeks. I'd like to do a live with Buy Me a Coffee next week as well. We'll see how that fits into the schedule with everything else going. But, in our Buy Me a Coffee members only lives, we have giveaways, and we usually announce some kind of a special deal, and we'll certainly have that coming up as well. 12 Spring Days of Christmas. I put out a request. I do have lots of stuff. I do need adjustments, I guess. 12 Spring Days of Christmas. The journey has begun for 2025. There's no turning back. We have a logo being designed right now. We have a lot of special events in the 12 Spring Days of Christmas event. We'll change things around. I need volunteers. Absolutely for this year, so that I can take some of the regular work involved with running it, and I can focus more on promoting the event and doing some special things for the 12 Supreme Days of Christmas. So make sure that you are watching for announcements coming up shortly. And if you're a breeder, if you're a vendor, if you make 3D, contact me if you'd like to be involved with the giveaway as a donation. What else? What else, Nanette? Anything else?
No, I can't think of anything else. Your list is pretty detailed there.
I do. I actually felt good enough today to do a script for tonight's show.
I wish I had seen it before now.
Well, I just put it together like 5 minutes ago. No, I didn't.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about what happens. What happens when you get ill and you can't. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't take care of your animals. What happens when you are in bed for 2 days or 3 days or 4 days? What do you do? You know, how bad do the animals suffer? We don't want our animals ever to suffer, obviously. But we also know that we need to take care of ourselves first before the animals. I'm going to get rid of this comment if I can. We need to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves. Number one, and Nanette posted on Facebook that I was ill, and I posted about a week ago that I was feeling better. Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. Thank you very much, JP. That is outstanding. So we had a couple of posts out there and so many great thoughts and prayers. I again greatly appreciate that. But what happens when you just can't get up out of bed and work on that? So how many of you, I'd like kind of a show of hands, make a comment in the comments and let me know, have you ever been sick where you couldn't take care of your reptiles or your isopods or your pets for more than 2 days? Leave a comment right now. Let me know. And what do you do? What do you do if you can't, work with your animals and even feel like getting out of bed and doing anything, leave a comment. Let me know if anybody has been that sick that they haven't been able to work with their animals for a couple of days. Nanette, what would you say? You helped with the animals Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So 6 days without me doing basically anything. What was your biggest challenge?
Knowing what to feed when.
Okay.
And I would ask you that what day, because I don't know your rotation to feed.
Yep.
So that was part of it. And I think then the other was just the amount of time it took at night, because I had worked all day, and then at night after dinner or whatever, I would go down and feed. So I think that was a challenge. That
was my challenge too, knowing that I was laid up in bed doing nothing at all for the whole day, and knowing that you had worked and you're coming home and now you've got to go downstairs and feed for a couple of hours. That's hard. That's extremely hard. It was hard for me, and I know obviously you were doing the work, so it was hard for you. Cassandra says, yes, when I had surgery, but I had people who took care of my pets. We're going to talk about that in just a second. We usually just power through it. I've been in the Gecko room, and luckily the bathroom is right next to it.
Ours is a flight upstairs.
Yeah, ours is a flight upstairs.
And you weren't awake, so that wasn't helpful.
Yeah.
I mean, I would come in and I'd ask you questions if I was confused on who to feed and when. I knew what to feed 99% of the things. I actually kind of impressed myself because I could feed some of the ones without, and you'd say, did you feed them this? And I'm like, yep, done deal.
Cassandra, absolutely. And we're going to talk about, excuse me, we're going to talk about that in just a second as well.
I did have Crystal.
How much did Crystal help?
Crystal helped, and she told me what I was not doing the right way or the way Grandpa would do it.
And I'm telling you what, literally, I could not get out of bed and do anything. I for 3 days, I was up maybe an hour a day, maybe, if that. It was real tough. And again, I'm not complaining. I'm not giving reasons or anything. That's just the way it was. Now, Cassandra's saying you should have an emergency kit or binder or something that explains everything in case something should happen to you. Yes, and that's exactly my point. So here's a question. Let me catch JP's real quick here. I have never been too sick for maintenance feeding, but have been too hungover. I made sure to miss the setups and need high humidity and go back to bed and try to stay alive. Right on. I have to. I'm sorry. This is from Niffer's Critters. I have to at least do the basics, no matter how I'm feeling, because there's no one to help. That's hard. No. That's the hard part. I have a set of. This is from Cassandra. I have a set of keys for a friend that if anything should happen, I'm her backup person. There you go. Trade that opportunity.
You don't let anybody in the facility.
I really don't. It's our family, and that's it. We stopped doing that about 15 years or so ago, and there was a really good reason for that. And I'm not going to get into it during the show, but the hard part is that it's us, and we have to kind of cover each other. You have to cover me if I'm sick. So
it worked. It wasn't bad.
I think it worked amazingly well.
I didn't kill anything.
You didn't kill anything. We're going to talk
everything.
We're going to talk about the other stuff that goes on at Supreme Gecko facility in the Supreme Gecko facility as well. Here, you did enough, and that's all that's important. So, here's my thought. Here's the overlying consideration, and I've got my script, and I wanted to talk about this. If you're sick,
Frank, come on, plug the thing in.
Guess we're not going 24 hours, are we?
Maybe we should, and he'll miss it.
Yeah.
Teach him.
Carolyn says, we're the same. Only Dustin and I are allowed to feed and maintain the animals. Too many opportunities for things to go wrong. That's absolutely true. It is. For me, I don't want to put that burden on anybody else. I don't want anybody else to come in here and think that they're working. And I know that, you do it. Obviously out of love for me. You do it just because you know that it has to be done. It's part of what we're doing here.
Did you know today was National Love Your Husband Day, I think? Now that you just said that.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Am I out of quarantine yet? Can you
No, I cannot.
Give me a smoochie on the cheek for Love Your Husband Day? No? Not on live. We'll go PG.
Stay away from me.
So here's the thing. You're sick for a day or two, and you don't know if you're going down the first day. You're not sure if you're going to be sick a day or 2 or 3. And when I say go down, it means, my gosh, I can't get my butt out of bed. What do I do? And here's the other thing: you could be really, really sick, or you could be a little sick. I've got the cold. I have a cold, or I have the flu, or in JP's consideration, I am hungover. You make stuff like that just work. If you're not super, super sick, if you're sick for a day or two, let it go. Let it go. No, your animals will not suffer if they don't eat tomorrow. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Your animals will not suffer if they miss 2 days feeding. Now, we have a very bring it up. If you guys have suggestions or concerns about anything that I'm saying here, bring it up, because
babies.
The only thing is 420 is husband or 420. Huh. I think it's 925, but I'm going to say every day of the year should be Husband Appreciation Day. The only consideration is if you have babies, they should be fed every day, every other day. We have some small, oh my gosh, Lygodactylus kimhowli. We have small micro geckos that we're feeding every day if we absolutely can. Otherwise, we're feeding at the most every 2 days. So those guys need to be fed. But if they go a couple, 3 days, it might not be that bad. What my point is that I think that we oversensitize the need for these animals to be maintained daily or every other day. And you don't want to do that, but if you have to, if push came to shove, It's certainly not going to be, a critical issue if you miss your feeding tomorrow or the next day. If you're really, really bad and you miss a couple of days, it's not going to be that bad. If you're able to, and you can get up out of bed and do some work, maintain your animals. Now, for us, maintaining the whole facility in a feeding the whole facility, misting, taking care of the eggs, the babies, everything is a one-person full-day adventure. And usually that's every other day. So, it's a big consideration for us if we're down, a day or two or three. So what are your options then? And I'm looking for suggestions here. What are your options if you're sick for more than a couple of days? If you're sick for a couple of days or you're not terribly sick, you can still get up and work around. My thought is, and this might not be the political thing to say, but suck it up, Buttercup. Get down and start working and get it done because your animals need you, and then go back to bed and rest and get better.
That's been my saying all week at work. Suck it up,
Has
Buttercup.
To me in text messages?
No, to everybody I'm working with. My principal actually laughed when I told him I said that to somebody today.
Is it okay to say that? I don't even know
Suck
anymore.
it up, Buttercup. It's that or get crack-a-lackin'.
Or can have a trash can near you. Just like in the picture in the thumbnail, just carry that trash.
I wish I had understood that this morning when you had that picture taken before I left.
You had no clue what we were doing?
I had no idea what you were doing with that until lunchtime when my girlfriend and I looked at Facebook.
Did she laugh?
Oh, yeah.
The one thing that I wasn't when I was ill was...
You weren't sick.
I wasn't sick.
No.
That way.
No.
Okay. So, I had to run to the bathroom mentally I was. So, staggering the tasks. Oh my gosh, you're stealing my thunder. Perfect.
Yeah, that would be nice
perfect.
if you learned how to do that instead of feeding the entire room
I
on the
know.
same day.
I
And
know.
I'm talking
I'm
the entire room.
Getting there. I'm getting there. I'm working on that. What are your options though if you're down? Okay, I've been sick, Monday, and I know that the animal, I'm going to be down Tuesday and Wednesday. I just feel it. I knew the first day that I was done. Phone a friend. Phone a friend. I'd like to phone a friend. Kind of like Cash Cab. Can I
phone a friend.
What is that phone option? I don't know. But
mobile shout out.
Mobile shout out. Or sidewalk shout out or a mobile shout out. So
don't yell out our door though.
What's that?
Don't be yelling out the door for help.
No. So you have to find Cash Cab. Love that show. So Ben Bailey. So you have to find somebody, and not that day. Oh my gosh, I've been sick for 2 days. Come here and help me feed. Please, 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 folks. And Cassandra, I think, mentioned this a little bit before. Plan it out a little bit. Plan it out. Make sure that you can talk to a family member. I would depend on Nanette and do, or a friend that lives by, or a neighbor. Does that mean that your neighbors aren't your friends? Try to figure out somebody that has
a in your basement.
I don't think so. I don't think so at all. Sandy would have when they lived here, and Bob would.
She would have let them all out.
I should just say, okay, they're all released, and what goes, and what eats another one eats another one. Having a bunch of friends is great, or people you can trust. You have to trust, obviously, and I want to make that point really, really clear. You have to trust them as far as they're okay with doing this. And we're going to talk about how to ensure that they're okay with doing it in just a second. But you want to make sure that they're okay with doing that. Hey, can you help me out if I'm ever sick? Plan it. Talk to them, but way beforehand, before you get sick and then have to make that call. Talk to them and make sure that they can do it, number one. But number two, you have to really, absolutely know that they're okay to do it. It doesn't help to have somebody say, yeah, I'll be there when you're down. I'll be there and I can help out. And then, hey, I'm feeling sick. Yeah, I've got to have a birthday party to go to and I can't be there to help. Or, you know what? I really don't feel comfortable working with reptiles. It's just not my thing. Sorry. I know I said I would, but I can't. Make sure that they feel okay with working with reptiles. Make sure that they are okay with what you're feeding your animals. And I'm not saying how to, but just that they're okay with maybe handling crickets. Oh, a cricket got out. What do I do? Make sure that if you're feeding, mice to your snakes, make sure that they're okay with that. Make sure that they're okay if you're feeding dubias and stuff like that. And I'll talk about that too, because there's another good way to get around something like that.
Not feeding them.
Not feeding them.
Do you have a pen?
I can't reach it.
That's okay.
Okay.
I'll think of it. I'll try to remember my thoughts.
What is your thoughts? What is your thoughts? Let me hold on for just a second. Have a bunch of friends is great, or have people you trust. Absolutely, people you trust. Having a bunch of friends. I would strongly suggest not having 6 friends apart. Hey, Joe and Bob and Ted and Sally, and have everybody jump over. It's best if you could have one person, or a backup to that one person, a backup to your backup that can jump in if they need to. But I would say maybe not depend on bunches and bunches of people. You almost have to groom your animal's husbandry substitute. Oh my gosh, you folks, viewers, you are amazing. Like you said, make sure they are cool with feeding them live animals and stuff beforehand. Yes. Let me ask this before I get into that. I'm gonna jump back out of this real quick. What's that?
Going to Illinois too.
Okay, I'm going to come back to that real quick here. I'm going to star that one. How do you feel about, okay, let's say you have 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 animals. Obviously, with a facility with 700 or so enclosures, we can't say, hey, Bobby, can you take these animals home with you? But what if you have, 1 or 2 or 3? Would you feel comfortable having a friend or family member take those animals home? I'm going to be sick. I'm probably going to be sick. COVID. I'm going to be isolated for, 2 weeks. Would you feel comfortable with having that friend or family member or neighbor take those animals home? What do you guys think about that? Personally, if I had a bearded dragon, I would, if I knew that the other person worked with bearded dragons and had the experience, and most importantly, had the space to handle, and time. Time is a big resource as well. So, you have to consider that. I'm not saying I strongly feel that you shouldn't do that. I'm just saying you better have all the ducks in a row before you have a friend or family member take your animals over to their home. Let's get back. Okay, you have something highlighted here. I'm going to go back to Timothy's lay in just a second. Leia?
Yeah.
You almost have to groom. Okay, did we already say that? Okay, sorry. I'm going to come back to that one. Illinois. Here's the one that you wanted to show. Both of our families are very country and are not okay with reptiles. See, I was lucky enough to convert Dustin. Yeah, that's a job.
She also comments.
Yeah, go ahead. I know I missed one.
She commented that she also had 10. That was when she had 10 animals. She was able to have Dustin's brother stop by and pay him for the time. But now having 3+, she would never put that responsibility on somebody else.
Yes.
And that's a huge one too. When you have a lot of animals, to have somebody come in and have to spend
thank you.
2 or 3 hours feeding your animals.
I've got to go back to this one though. Let's talk about this real quick here. You always have to groom your animals' husbandry. So in my notes here, I have make it easy, an ounce of prevention. What does that mean? I can't plan when I'm going to be sick. Nobody can. Nobody can say, okay, on the 20th,
plan a sick day if I needed to.
You can plan when I'm going to be sick. You can poison me, or what are you saying?
When I'm going to be sick, I could say, hey, I'm going to be sick
before.
Yeah, I gave you the COVID poison.
You dumped it in my coffee or something.
Go.
Okay,
move on.
You can't plan that out, but you can plan out the possibility of you not being able to take care of your animals for more than 2 days. How do you do that? There's a lot of different ways. And right here we have one. You almost have to groom your animal husbandry substitute. Like I said, make sure they're cool with feeding them live animals and stuff beforehand. You can also make them feed your animals. Do a trial run. Obviously,
ask them, not make them.
Make them do it. You're going to right now, or you're not my subs. No, you obviously want to ask them nicely as possible. Maybe, bribe them with money. Am I falling apart here?
I don't know.
You want to make sure that they can handle the responsibility. Oh my gosh. If you have 10, 20 enclosures, that's a lot of work, isn't it? You don't want to, hey, I'm sick, come over and feed. Well, what do I feed? And who do I feed? And well, you'll get the feel, because you might not want to expose them, and your animals to yourself. I was isolated. I didn't want to go downstairs and touch things in the facility and then have Nanette come in right after and do the same thing. So
Clorox isn't a good thing in the facility.
More than once, yeah. You learn after that first time, right? And bleach as well. So what you want to do is you really want to give a trial run. Walk them through the process. Have them watch you one time. And I know this sounds like a lot of work. It does sound a lot like work to some people, or a lot of time. But I tell you what, that very first time they have to do it themselves, they'll understand. Nanette, if you see something, go ahead. I strongly suggest walking them through, showing them. Are they going to learn? Are they going to remember everything? No, they're not going to remember everything. There's no way. Will they have a feel for the process? Yes. Will they have a feel for, okay, I feed, then I put some water in, and then I move and I make sure enclosures are shut and things like that. They'll have a feel for that. They'll see it over and over again with your various animals. And then they'll kind of get it. So walk them through the process first, have them do the process, offer suggestions, and kind of make sure that they understand what's going on with your animals. Let me know if you have questions about that, because I think that's a huge, huge, huge thing to prepare somebody for this possibility. You also want to make things easier. How do you give me a way that, when you went downstairs, you kind of, did you see a question that you wanted
Somebody had a comment
go ahead.
about that right here.
Okay.
I can't read it from here.
Okay.
Because I can't see it from there.
No, that's right. I'll read it over. You guys are just hitting everything just spot on.
Oh, make it easy.
Make the tasks as straightforward as possible and get the bowls stacked. Pre-prep the Gecko powders so they only have to administer into the bowls. Yes. So Nanette, what was your biggest challenge? I know we kind of talked about the timing, what gets fed when, but past that, did you have difficulty kind of knowing which animal got what food?
No, because you have certain tanks are labeled for me on purpose, because I always ask you 50 times. There is one row of animals that I was not 100% on, and Crystal came downstairs when we were feeding, and she's like, this one gets this one gets this, and don't forget this one. So she was helpful that way. I was going to say, when I asked for a pen 20 minutes ago or whatever, my big thing was to be organized. You got to have your space organized and have your things. Thank you. I put it in my phone, so it didn't matter.
Okay.
Smarty pants, you're going to be sick again, and I'm not going to be downstairs. The being organized and having everything put in the same spot all the time, and you're really adamant about that downstairs. So I knew where to get my dishes. I knew where the food was for the crested geckos. The cricket bins were all labeled, the different sizes, so I'm not playing guessing and Russian roulette, picking out a bin and hoping I got the right one. I knew where to find. I'm trying to think what I didn't know. I didn't know the fruit flies for a couple of the animals, which ones I was using. But when I went down, I kind of figured it out. It was just, I wasn't sure which, because there were multiple sizes.
And something like
But I
that, you know,
figured
fruit
that
flies.
out.
What, because I have right now, I probably have a dozen fruit fly cultures.
Yeah.
In the process of just starting. They were just created. They're multiplying. They're producing and ready to feed right now. And I don't have that really clearly
But they're all
marked.
dated. And as
They're
long
all
as they had a
dated,
date, I
so-
knew it was the size. And there was a couple, you had Turkish ones and then you had some other kind. And I just wasn't sure on that end right away. But I figured that out. I figured if I gave them one and it was the wrong one, they'd be fine. But being organized and knowing where everything is and being able to, your system is different than my system.
Yep.
My biggest,
That's okay.
I would say my biggest challenge was when Jordan helped me. And only because when we fed the crested geckos, he laid the dishes out differently than I would lay them out. And I got really confused.
And you lay the dishes out.
Totally different.
When I say lay the dishes out, we have racks. So we have, I'm going to pause for a second here while I count. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I think we have 13 different areas, 13 racks for crusted
and
gargoyles. And gargoyles. So there's so many enclosures on each rack. So I'll lay them out according to the racks on different carts and on different things. And you do it a little bit differently. And that's cool as long as you kind of know if you do it and it works. That's cool. If I do it and it works, that's cool. If Jordan does it and it works, that's cool. But, you know, if you lay out and I'm going then to feed and I have to count. And so
that's
I can
where
see
my
that.
biggest challenge was.
Yeah.
I think that night. But other than that, because it is so organized down there and you know where to find things. But I do like Cassandra's idea of having a sheet that says these animals get fed this kind of food, these get this, because it would be helpful. It would be quicker in some aspects.
Yep.
I know quicker. Because we label all your tanks now. And I've been down in the facility many hundreds of thousands of times feeding. So I could figure it out. I have.
It would be every day for 472 years.
There were 2 years that I did.
There were. So that's a really, really good point. I'm a nerd. And you know, this whole year has been process for me, improving the process, making it easier, making it quicker, making it more standard, more consolidated, easier. So I'm not going from this spot over to the other room to do this and then coming back and then going back to the other room. I'm doing it all in kind of a line by line, step by step process, which also means, what did we do with your isopod change recently? What did I do? How did I change?
Oh, we put them all in one rack. Is that what you mean?
No. So we took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different locations that we had, maybe 9 locations that we had isopods. So now we have 1, 2. We have 2, 3. Well, that's springtails. So that doesn't really count. 2. So we have 2, and also in the last month, I took 1 cart and I put all the food and all the leaves and all the sphagnum moss, everything, and tape. You know, I have a little zip tie with the colored tape so we can mark containers that are ready to sell or have an issue or whatever, all on 1 cart. So that's the isopod cart, and you can use that 1 cart instead of trying to, okay, I need some little cups. I've got to go over and find where those cups are. So consolidate, make it easy, label. Post-it notes. I'm gonna throw this out. Great idea. I've gone away from Post-it notes to, I wish I had some painter's tape. And I have, how many color of painter tape?
You probably got 6 or 7 colors down there.
Oh, there's way more than that, I bet. I bet you I have a dozen. Anyways, we have different colors for different years of our crested geckos, a different color for every year, different color for every year for our gargoyles. I also use that tape, the painter's tape, to write the name of the gecko on the enclosure. I also use it with an S, M, or L, large cricket, small cricket, or medium cricket, for many enclosures. You know, we don't do that for the crested geckos because that is more based on rack. This rack gets all small feeders. This rack gets mediums because they're all juveniles grow out. That's our grow out racks. these are our adult breeders. They get adult crickets. So that's kind of a known factor. If I had somebody coming in that hasn't done this as much as you have, the 100,000 times you fed, 400,000 times, I would more intently label all of our enclosures with exactly what to feed. Post-it notes are cool. Tape, they fall off. You have to use Scotch tape to hold them on sometimes. So you guys, painter's tape is absolutely my, number one tool downstairs. That or the dust buster, because sometimes I get spiders that I'll have to catch and then take out to the garage to release.
You don't release.
You
Cassandra,
release.
Having a plan in case something bad should happen, like you'd never come back to Earth. That is a good idea. We did talk about that the first time COVID came around, and people were so bad, and there were so many things. I remember really getting scared about it at one point, wondering, because you got really sick with COVID during that period as well. Worse that first time. And I remember sitting down after that and going, okay, we need a plan, because if something would happen, what do I do?
Yeah.
How do I handle it? So having that plan, and yes, Illinois said that is a hard discussion. It is, but knowing what you've got to do or how to handle things is very important at that point too.
Yep.
You just don't know.
1,000%.
And it could be anything. It could be a car accident. It could be anything. You got to have a plan.
I could one day come home and say, that's it. I'm done. I'm watching baseball and football for the rest of my life, and I'm not going downstairs another day. Go take care of it.
We would have the biggest Palm Street ever.
I laugh at that, but that was literally what I did with the tropical fish, where we had over 100 enclosures, 100 fish tanks. And I literally called a friend, real quick, diverted topic here, but I called a friend and said, Robin, I'm done with fish. We had Tim that was in the hospital, and that was taking a lot of my time. I had come home and I'd work, 10 hours a day, and then go to the hospital and come home at, 10 o'clock at night and
there's a baby
feed. And he had some struggles. And for a couple, 3 weeks there, and I came home one day and, I had pairs of discus on the bottom of the tanks, and I cleaned up a lot of that mess. And, I called up my friend and said, Robin, I'm done. This weekend, come over and get whatever you want. And had to work through that process of selling all the fish and all the tanks. But I quit within fish, 120 tanks or so within, 3 or 4 days. Yeah,
you were done.
I was done.
And he made the call.
So, that's a great topic, Cassandra, because it can happen. Painter's tape, love it because it's cheap. Go on Temu and buy rolls and rolls, get about 1.25 inches or so, and many different colors. I use red. I'll tear off a red thing and say I can't look at it right now, but by the end of the day, I'm going to look at this enclosure. I'm going to do something because I have something going on in there. When you're feeding, I'm going to get back. I want to cover this one real quick. So let's say you have 10 enclosures and you have 10 different feeders that you're going through, mice and crickets and dubias and crested gecko diet. And
you keep saying mice. We don't feed mice.
Well, for people that keep snakes.
Don't give anybody the impression that we have them, because we don't.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Know what I mean? So try to get, okay, I'm sick. I need you to help. Feed medium crickets. Even the large animals, even adult crested geckos are going to eat medium-sized crickets. It is what it is. If they're hungry enough, they're going to take a smaller prey item. That's not what you want to do all the time, but make it easy for somebody so that they don't have to, feed 10 different. Okay, these only like fire brats. So, if they can take small or medium crickets and you can feed that to 90% of your enclosures, then give that enclosure, medium crickets instead of fire brats that time. Make it as simple from a feeding standpoint as you can. Here's a great tip. Pre-freeze crested gecko diet. And I think that this was brought up.
Really?
Yes. Pre-freeze, and you want to use it up like monthly. If you're not sick, you want to have it, out of the freezer and used up. But freeze up to the point where you can take a cube and put it in a dish for your crusted geckos, and it will melt, and then they'll have food. So somebody doesn't maybe have to mix up crusted gecko diet. Not the optimum thing you want to do all the time, but it's a good, just take the cubes out and feed all the tanks that have an orange sticker or orange painter's tape or something like that, and maybe have a chart that shows that as well. Isopods. So there's no way somebody wants to attack isopods, and okay, these get sprayed gently. These get misted a little bit heavier. Only mist these on this end. Don't miss these because I did make it simple for somebody. And if you might lose a couple of isopods, maybe that's not the biggest deal. It's more important that the person is in your facility taking care of your animals for 10 minutes rather than 2 hours, because if I'm doing that, I feel more comfortable helping and doing the right thing in a shorter amount of time than trying to figure things out on my own when I'm trying to help somebody. When you have something, let me know, okay? Don't make them clean. Don't make your friend or your family member, your substitute, clean. Oh my gosh, we don't want them cleaning, water bowls or dishes, or wiping the front glass of enclosures, or reaching in there and cleaning gecko poop. Leave it. Just leave it for a week, and you can catch up. It's going to be a lot of work, but you can catch up when you feel better and you get back on your feet. Let the small stuff like that just go. It's not that big of a deal. I've got a thing on painter's tape. I'm going to get back to that in a second. Did you have something? I'm going to look through the comments, Nanette.
I'm commenting on something.
Okay. Dustin and I have a game plan, and God forbid something would happen to either of us. We do too. Now, if you have 5 or 6 animals, you can kind of walk through that process. We have and I'm not trying to flex or anything like that. It's just a little bit complicated because we have, about 50 different species more now, certainly, and lots of enclosures with lots of animals. So we would have to figure out a way to disperse those animals dependent on those animals' requirements. And I know, Carolyn, you're the same way with some of your animals, have a real specific requirement that only a few people would be able to take care of those animals. So we've kind of thought through that, and I have a spreadsheet for that as well. Did you have anything?
Nothing. No, they're just commenting about the monitor and the snake that's in the basement. Bio is commenting very good comments about, making sure the animals that you have, make sure that you have good people that can help with it, make sure that what the responsibility is ahead of time.
Yeah.
Just a lot of good comments.
Yeah, really, really, really good comments. And some of the things that I have said tonight, like if they don't eat, for 2 days, it's not that big of a deal. Don't get me wrong. We care deeply for our animals, but think about it in the wild. There might be excessive rains. There might be excessive heat. These animals might not come out of their burrow for 2 or 3 days. They're going to be okay. They're not going to, oh my gosh, I haven't eaten in 2 days. I'm going to pass. That's just not it. We care for the animals. I wouldn't suggest anything that I 100% agreed and firmly believed in, that they'll be okay without eating for a couple of days. Babies are different. You want to keep them, on their cycle if you can.
I was just thinking you might want to, if you're having somebody come in to help, if you order crickets and mealworms through the mail and you don't have them enough for them to feed that at that point in time, and you have to have somebody order, knowing how to take care of them when they come in as well. I mean, we had a shipment of live food come in that week, and Jordan took care of that for me before I got home from work. But just having somebody not run to a pet store and think they have to go buy all the crickets in the world at the pet store or whatever either.
One of our biggest, that's not a secret, it's just plan ahead kind of thought process, is we always have crickets in the facility. Let me take that back. We have crickets 5 out of the 7 days in the facility. We always have mealworms in the facility and ready to feed for at least a week's time. Always, 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 always. Mealworms can sit cooler in 50 degrees, 60 degree temperatures, and they'll last. If you feed them at least once or twice a week, they'll last forever, folks. We also have mealworms in our refrigerator downstairs in the facility that we can pull out at any time in case, maybe it's longer than a week or two. And we have, that emergency stock in the fridge that we could take out, let them warm up, feed them a couple of times. And within 2 days, we're feeding, an additional amount of mealworms. Good point, Nanette. I'm looking for another. I'm going to hide that. Spraying water. Oh,
132 times.
132 water.
Illinois,
right?
Illinois said 133 is too much.
Feed. You want to mist for 1.4 minutes. You know what we have, and maybe if you saw our video on feeding those enclosures, I have a couple of animals that I've kind of struggled with them shedding for whatever reason. I have a pile of not wet but moist sphagnum moss in there, and that kind of helps the humidity stay up in that enclosure, and it also helps them shed a little bit. So you don't want somebody to, and I'm not suggesting go out and buy automatic misting systems. What you don't want is somebody that has to think about how much misting and over mists or maybe under mist. So what you can do is put a big note somewhere in maybe what you have is, and this kind of gets back to Cassandra, you have an instruction sheet that says mist every enclosure or mist the blue dot enclosures for 5 seconds. You have your mister. I'll show you how you pump it up, and then you mist the blue dot enclosures for 5 seconds, whatever it takes, or you have a big blue dot and a small blue dot, 10 seconds or as opposed to, make it simple. The more you can make it visual, at least for me, if you had a sheet that's 14 pages long that I have to flip through, I might do it once, maybe, and maybe I get to page 8 and I say, screw this, I'm not reading. Or I'm certainly probably not going to do it the second time because that's just too much work. But if you have dots and you have a page with 6 steps on it, I'm going to come back and I'm going to help you forever. Make it simple.
Can you make that happen?
Yeah, I can do that. You know what you're doing though. That's
you said something and it made me think of something else, and now I forgot what it was.
I'm going to go through the comments too here if I'm missing anything.
I don't think you are, because I was kind of watching.
Oh, that's you.
Was it? What?
That was I
was telling JP a story.
I'm going to pass that on. Some vet clinics let you have a credit on your account, so it's basically an emergency fund. That's
if
pretty
you have
cool.
a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, Cassandra, that's a really good point too, to have, that pre-thought out just in case. As important, Cassandra, I would strongly suggest, and your comment has a lot of value, and I'd also throw in there, have a list of 3 people that person can contact. Start with this person. If you don't get a response, go to this person. If you don't get a response, go to this person. If there's an emergency, checking heat or lights go out for a week, that's not that big of a deal, folks. It's really not. But if your heat goes out and your animal's bearded dragons, as an example, and you're feeding your substitute is feeding your bearded dragons and the heat is out, that's a big problem. So Identify the animals that have to have things like that. If we had heat go down in our facility for a week, it's not going to be that big of a deal. Here, the Xenogama taylori, the shield tail geckos, they need it every day. So that would be a big problem. That would be a concern if the heat went down for them. But have 3 people that you could suggest the person goes to, but also have the vet set up just in case. Okay. What else do I have?
What do you do during breeding season?
Yeah, what a segue. Perfect. Breeding season. What do you do during breeding season? So, what are the concerns? Sick. What are the concerns with breeding season? What? Oh my gosh, I can't get downstairs for 5 days. What's the problem? So what? So what? So what?
Well, if you've got eggs hatching like you had during that week, and that I would say was my biggest challenge that whole time. Okay. That was it.
I'll buy that.
I didn't know where to put some of the babies that were hatching on the rarer micros, and I was creating containers hoping, and then ran out of containers. And then I was trying to come up with another, and I found them, but I had to create the container to put them in, and hoping that I was doing it the right way, which I just went back to the parents' container, looked at what their setup was, and then I set it up like that pretty much and just hoped I was okay.
Yes. Perfect. Spot on. And I was going to bring that point up, that I think the biggest fall down that I have right now is that the incubator has to be looked at every day, and the babies have to be pulled. You know how to take care of crustids and gargles and picta and blah blah blah, leopards and
stuff.
It's the Coleonyx elegans that hatched out for the first time ever. It's Nephurus levis, diverse wheeleri. What do you do with those? Well, you have a good point that you go Crystal. And you ask Crystal. Yeah, Crystal goes on and tells you, Grandma, you want to set them up, as a arid environment with heat at 90. So if you're breeding animals, it becomes a little bit more difficult, and you kind of have to walk through that process. What do you tell somebody? Do you want them going down and checking incubators and taking care of babies? You probably need to. And I know that I'm probably talking to the minority rather than the majority of people here. Maybe not. That's the biggest challenge for me and us in the facility, is that the adults are the adults, and we're on a schedule with the adults. And collecting eggs, if you go a week and you don't collect eggs, it's not that big of a deal, folks. Don't ask your substitute to try to collect even crusted gecko eggs. Our humid hides are humid enough that if we go a week, they're not going to dry out. It doesn't mean that they're sopping wet. It just means that every time we go in to feed, we're checking our humid hides just to make sure that they're humid enough. So collecting eggs, bury that for about a week or so. It's not that big of a deal. But the babies, you have to have some kind of a plan for the babies. Fortunately for us, Nanette has enough knowledge to be able to, even if you put a jungle Bavaye in a desert enclosure with hides, it's going to be okay for a week or so. It's not the worst thing. No, you did an amazing job. You put everything away just perfectly.
Crystal.
Carolyn says, luckily for us, the babies are all kept in one location. The only exception is the micro geckos. These are kept in smaller containers. So there's a challenge with the micro geckos. You start keeping micro geckos, and you've got to be on them every single day. They have babies. What do you do? You've got to feed the babies every day. So we all have these little challenges. And if I've expressed anything during the show, hopefully we all get the fact that, and even us, now that we've gone through this a couple of times, we still are lacking in a couple of, areas. Think through the process, run a drill. Okay, Dustin, I'm down for a week. I'm down. What are you doing?
He's
your
watching
game.
TV upstairs,
Yeah,
watching the baseball
I'm flipping,
game.
Man. I'm watching the Cubs and Brewers in the playoffs, man. just have that and maybe go through a fire drill and make sure that the person, no, what are you feeding wingless fruit flies to adult crested geckos for? What the heck? Walk through the process with your substitute. Show them. So you're teaching them, have them do it, and give constructive criticism and pointers, and make sure that you have my permission. And Dustin, if you're watching this,
it's important.
you're doing this for a whole week. But yeah, walk through that process and make sure that they understand, and make sure that they kind of have a good feel, they're comfortable. What you don't want to have happen is that you're down for a week and you get back on your feet and you say, oh, how did everything go? Did you feed the hognose? Oh yeah, the hognose. I don't like working with mice and and I know that this isn't that big of a deal because snakes can go a week or two or more without feeding, but you don't want that. Oh, I didn't feel comfortable with that, so I didn't do that kind of,
By the
way, okay, what are we missing for questions here? Okay, I'm gonna post some of these that we starred just so we bring it up one more time here. You almost have to groom your animals.
We already did that.
I know.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
bringing it up again. Like you said, make sure they are cool with feeding them live animals and stuff beforehand. Beautiful. Both of our families are very country and are not okay with reptiles. I was lucky enough to convert somebody. This was such a great comment here. Make it easy. Make the tasks as straightforward as possible. I want to know the next show how many people went out and bought a roll of painter's tape, or 2 or 3, and started using painter's tape. I am a geek. I am a geek with the bowls and the food dishes. And why is that? I want it so that you don't have to think for more than 1 second. The scissors are over there. The Scotch tape is over here. The food dishes are over here. The water dishes are all over here. The crusted gecko diet, the dry crusted gecko diet is here. And if we've already made some 2 days ago, it's going to be in the fridge. But then again, with more animals, that becomes more of a priority. If you're expecting, have a hatchling enclosure ready so they just have to move the babies from the incubator bin to their new temporary bin. That's probably where I fell down the most.
Oh, that's hard to do because for some of them, you had 4 or 5 of them down on the bottom of the rack that were set. It's just things hatched, and they were different things. I mean, we had a couple first timers hatch that week, and then there were some that were too tiny, I felt, to go in with the batch that had hatched earlier or whatever. And I was nervous that they'd get eaten. So I probably have a couple extra bins of things that we don't need, but you had probably 5 or 6 ready to go, but I ran out of them because it's hatching season and we have 2 full incubators.
We have probably 5 to 10 to 15 babies hatch every single day.
Yeah, you've got hundreds of eggs in those things. The show, I will note that Crystal was really helpful with. Mm-hmm. She couldn't go with us that weekend, and I was a little nervous. I really wanted her because I knew she could really talk the animals well. So I was telling her that we were going to take certain animals, but not some of the other ones because I wasn't comfortable with my knowledge on them. And she informed me. She actually quizzed me, and she wanted to know if I knew what size containers and what the substrates were for certain animals. And then she informed me that if her dad did not understand, since he's not in the facility like she is, he could ask me questions. But if he didn't and I didn't understand, we were not to bother Grandpa. We were to call her or text her, and she would help us. So she's not watching this. We called her or we texted her and pretended that we didn't know what we were doing with an animal. And she came back spot on with what we had to do with the animal. But she was like right there for me. It was hysterical. We are lucky, Angie. We are
lucky she has us as grandparents. No, we're blessed beyond belief. Mm-hmm. She is a special little girl. She really is. JP says I used a baby supply cart to put all of my supplies stuff there. It didn't have wheels, so I made wood base to make it taller and put wheels on it. Wow,
Perfect.
you are do-it-yourselfer.
6-wheeled carts downstairs that we use different ways.
Yeah, and I was looking at Temu today for another one. No, I know. I was going to replace one of them.
Temu, not
Temu. I've seen Temu. Anyways, last point, and then we're going to call it a night here. I had a game, but I'm not going to play the game tonight. How would you guys? Well, I'll talk about it next show. I'm not saying we'll do it next show. That it's just you and I.
Oh, good Lord. Yeah. We're not playing tonight because you didn't tell me anything.
No, we'd go another hour with this game. Any secret projects? Temu. I've said Temu forever. What do you call it?
You're calling it Temu tonight.
I've heard other people call it Temu.
It's Temu.
Okay, I'm going to start calling it Temu as well.
Temu.
Any special projects? Yes, this one right there. I have a couple of long-term projects that I'm working. I have many long-term projects that I'm working on, and I've tried things for so long, and I don't have it. A lot of times when I run a special project, a long-term project, I'll get the same results that I've gotten before, or that other people have gotten. Other people have had or seen in their experimentations as well. Crusted gecko eggs. What happens if you incubate them at 70 degrees? What happens if you incubate them at 80? I ran a quick test a couple of years ago. Found the same thing that I've always found, that the shorter or the higher the temperatures, the shorter hatch time. And I did that for head structure, and it does look like the warmer you cook them, the smaller the head structure. So nothing, oh my gosh, earth shaking. So I didn't really post anything about that. But special projects are Periodora picta eggs, temperature, sex determined. Well, the hard part with that is that you'd need a good sample size, probably about 40 to 50 babies to know for sure. You would have to have another new incubator set at about 86, 88 to get more potentially males. We're running about 50% males and females right now. It's literally spot on 50%. So you'd have to have an incubator. You'd have to have, eggs, enough eggs to do this experiment. You'd have to have grow out tanks so that you could grow these animals up, and you could watch them for 4 months, because it takes generally about 2 to 3 to 4 months for males to actually develop as males. So you'd have to run that experiment for now 6 months to make sure that you caught all this. Well, that's what I'm doing with an incubator up here. I filled it up with Periodora picta eggs. If they turn out great, if they don't turn out, that's okay. It's a shame that if they don't, but there's a lot of these things that we keep talking about in the hobby that, just isn't proven out. And I feel like I'm at the point where I should start proving some of this stuff out. And, this next 5 months now, hopefully we get some kind of an indication of, in the small sample size, in the Supreme Gecko small sample size that I'm doing, it proves something, or at least I can collect some data. Another thing that I would like to do is set up babies and feed like 20 or 30 one food, 20 or 30 another food, 20 or 30, and watch their growth rates and kind of do a comparison that way too. So special projects, I have a lot. I have a Notion, special projects folder filled with stuff. I think the one thing I wish I could have done more of this year was to move some of those projects forward. I didn't have any, earth-shaking discoveries, so I didn't post anything on some of them. But watch for to quickly here to land the plane. Watch for our Buy Me a Coffee. Watch for Palm Street. Watch for us at NARBC. Watch for us at Scaled Up Expos at La Crosse. buy me a coffee next week. We're going to see if we can fit in a live with giveaways and special things going on. And oh, that's right. I had a wonderful, wonderful time talking to Bobby about Periodora Picta. Bobby COVID of Gecko Cove, the Gecko Cove. It's Gecko Cove. And we just had a blast talking about Periodora Picta. And if you know how I blab and blab on,
no.
Yeah, I do. Believe it or not, I do. And we talked and got off of topic a couple of times in a good way, because we talked about some things related to the Periodora Picta, but more related to the hobby. So that video posted a few minutes ago, 45 minutes ago. And go out to Gecko Cove and take a look at the interview that I had with on his channel, Bobby's channel, on Periodora Picta. Hopefully you catch up on a couple of new facts about them and some of my opinions, because I have a very distinct opinion about some of the topics of Periodora Picta that you'll see in this video. Check it out. I want to thank everyone for jumping in tonight, and we missed you guys deeply. And again, thank you for all the warm wishes, get well soon wishes, thoughts and prayers. So appreciated. Thank you very much.
What? That's the one thing that if you got really, really sick again, I don't know how to even do this. Like to go on and talk to anybody. I wouldn't be able to set up a live.
I can leave a list, and your new boyfriend can kind of take care of all of that.
Who?
Thank you very much, Illinois Valley Geckos, Carolyn. Say hi to Dustin. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. Greatly appreciate it. See you next week.
Good night.
Good night.